Okay, let's talk about AI in the classroom. It's a huge topic, right? And honestly, it's causing a lot of anxiety. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? Today, we're diving into a workflow that completely reframes AI, not as a threat, but as an incredible tool for real, genuine learning. One that's faster, fairer, and maybe most important of all, cited.
And this is the fundamental question, isn't it? The one on every educator's mind. We've got these unbelievably powerful tools, things like Gemini and ChatGPT, but how do we actually use them to help students learn, to help us plan lessons, without just opening the door to a new kind of cheating? That's the tension we're going to unpack.
Now, the framework we're about to walk through, this isn't just some abstract theory. It comes straight from the front lines of education. It was developed in a presentation by Dr. Kartehia Bowler from the TA Management Institute. So this is a real, practical approach that's been thought through by people in the field.
You can really think of where we are right now as a crossroads. One path leads to this immense, almost unbelievable power that AI offers. And the other path? Well, that's the non-negotiable principle of academic integrity. The big challenge is figuring out how to walk both paths at the same time. And it turns out there's a really smart way to do it.
So let's get really clear about the trade-off here. On one side, the power is just staggering. I mean, AI can spit out ideas instantly, draft whole lesson plans, create classroom materials in seconds. But on the other side, the problems are just as big. You get zero citations, it lacks any real context for its sources, and it can confidently just make stuff up. You've probably heard the term hallucination. So how do we get all that power while getting rid of all that risk?
Well, the answer lies in this simple but really powerful shift in how we think about using AI. It's a principle called source anchoring, and honestly, it changes the entire game. Source-anchored AI is pretty much what it sounds like. Instead of letting an AI just roam free across the wild, chaotic internet, you anchor it. You tie it down to a specific set of trusted sources that you provide. It's like putting the AI on a leash. That way, every single thing it generates has to come from information you already know is reliable. Suddenly, every claim is traceable. It is a total game changer. Okay, that sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in practice? It all boils down to a simple, repeatable, three-step loop. This is the key to using AI responsibly, and it's something anyone can do. Let's break it down. Here is that loop in action. Step 1 is ground. You start by uploading your trusted materials, your course readings, your articles, your notes, into a tool like Notebook LM. This creates your verified knowledge base. Step 2 is reason. Now you go to a creative AI like Gemini, and you ask it to build something new. But, and this is the critical part, you tell it to only use the information from your grounded sources. Step 3, verify. You take whatever the AI created, bring it back into your source tool, and check every claim against your original documents. Ground, reason, verify. It's a simple cycle, but it is so powerful.
All right, that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in a real classroom? Let's get practical and dive into 5 examples you could literally start using tomorrow.
I mean, the applications here are incredibly flexible. We're talking about building complete lesson plans, slides and all, generating quick quizzes to check for understanding, creating study guides that are customized for each student, even helping to supervise something as complex as a literature review. And, one of my favorites, producing detailed rubric-based feedback.
Let's just zoom in on that feedback example for a second. Imagine you upload a student's essay and your grading rubric. Then you give the AI this exact prompt. The feedback it produces isn't just faster for you to create, it's actually fairer and way more helpful for the student, because every single comment is tied directly to a specific sentence in their own work. The feedback becomes concrete, transparent, and totally defensible.
Now this next application, this is big. This goes beyond just making a teacher's life easier and gets right to the heart of a skill every student needs today, information literacy. We're talking about building what you could call a news-to-research pipeline.
Just look at how this works for a student. They find a news article online, they capture it, and they ground it in their notebook. Then they go find a couple more articles on the same topic and add those in too. Finally, they just ask the AI, give me a comparative overview of all these sources. In literally minutes, they've gone from a single headline to a nuanced, multi-source analysis. It's amazing. And the output can be something as beautifully simple as this. The AI can organize the information into a clear table, showing you the source, the main claim it makes, and then asking that all-important question, Is this claim backed up by the other sources? This visually teaches students to weigh evidence and think critically, to think like a real researcher.
Of course, I know what you might be thinking. Couldn't a student just use this to cheat in a more sophisticated way? It's a totally fair question, and that's exactly why this whole workflow is built with some non-negotiable guardrails to make sure that academic integrity is always, always the top priority.
These are the fundamental rules of the road. First, you always use citation-first prompts. Demand a source for every single claim. Second, you always check where that information came from by tracing it back to the original document. And finally, the most important rule of all, the human is always the final checkpoint. Whether it's the teacher or the student, a person has to be the ultimate verifier. The AI is the assistant, not the authority.
And this quote just nails the whole point. The goal here is not to have an AI generate text for students. The goal is to help students produce defensible, well-cited work that they understand and can stand behind. It's about using AI as a powerful research assistant, not as a ghostwriter. We're augmenting human intelligence, not trying to replace it. And that brings us to this final, really exciting idea. If we can use source-anchored AI to handle some of the tedious parts of research, the summarizing, the organizing, the citing, we free up our students' brains for much deeper thinking. So the question for us as educators isn't how do we stop AI? The real question is, now that the AI can help with the how, what bigger, bolder, more creative questions can we finally empower our students to ask? That right there is the future of learning.